Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the science class. Today, we continue our discussion on Chapter 7 Control and Coordination. In the last class, you learned about the structure of brain and the functions of different parts of the brain. In today's class, you will learn about coordination in plants. Animals have a nervous system for controlling and coordinating the activities of the body, but plants have neither a nervous system nor muscles. So, how do they respond to stimuli? When we touch the leaves of a chewy mui or touch me not plant, they begin to fold up and droop. When a seed germinates, the root goes down, the stem comes up into the air. You can see both these movements. The seed germinates and the touch me not plant. What happens? Firstly, the leaves of the sensitive plant move very quickly in response to the touch. There is no growth involved in this movement. On the other hand, the directional movement of seedling is caused by growth. If it is prevented from growing, it will not show any movement. So plants show two different types of movement. One is dependent on growth and the other independent of growth. Immediate response to stimulus. Let us think about the first kind of movement in the case of touch me not plant. Since no growth is involved in this movement, the plant must actually move its leaves in response to touch. But there is no nervous tissue nor any muscle tissue. And how does the plant detect the touch and how do the leaves move in response? If you think about where exactly the plant is touched and what part of the plant actually moves, it is apparent that movement happens at a point different from the point of touch. So, information that a touch has occurred must be communicated. The plants also use electrical chemical means to convey this information from cell to cell. But unlike in animals, there is no specialized tissue in plants for the conduction or transmission information. Finally, again, as in animals, some cells must change shape in order for movement to happen. Instead of the specialized proteins found in animal muscle cells, plant cells change shape by changing the amount of water in them, resulting in swelling or shrinking and therefore in changing shapes. The movements due to growth. Some plants, like the pea plant, climb up other plants or fences by means of tendrils. You can see the tendrils here. These tendrils are sensitive to touch. When they come in contact with any support, the part of the tendril in contact with the object does not grow as rapidly as the part of the tendril away from the object. This causes the tendril to circle around the object and thus cling to it. You can see here. This causes the tendril to circle around the object and thus cling to it. More commonly, plants respond to stimuli slowly by growing in a particular direction. Because this growth is directional, it appears as if the plant is moving. Let's understand this type of movement with the help of an example. Fill a conical flask with water, cover the neck of the flask with wire mesh, take a cardboard box which is open from one side, keep the flask in the box in such a manner that open side of the box faces light coming from the window. After 2 or 3 days, you will notice that the shoots bend towards the light and the roots away from the light. Now turn the flask so that the shoots are away from the light and the roots towards the light. Leave it undisturbed in this condition for a few days. The question is, are there differences in the direction of the new growth? Yes, there is marked and noticeable change in case of new parts of the shoot and root. The shoots are always growing towards the light and roots are always growing away from the light. Environmental triggers such as light or gravity will change the directions that plant parts grow in. These directional or tropic movements can be either towards the stimulus or away from it. The growth of plant towards or away from the light source is called phototropism. So, in two different kinds of phototropic movement, shoots respond by bending towards light, so that we can call it as positive phototropism, while the roots are growing away from the light, that's called negative phototropism. Here you can see the shoots are growing towards the light, so it is called positive phototropism, and roots are growing away from the light, so it is called negative phototropism. Plants show tropism in response to other stimuli as well. The roots of a plant always grow downwards, while the shoots usually grow upwards. So here the root shows positive geotropism and the shoots show negative geotropism. Hydro means water and chemo refers to chemicals. Let us see hydrotropism and chemotropism. Hydrotropism is the growth of plant in response to water. For example, roots grow towards the water. You can see the roots grow towards the water. So it is hydrotropism. The growth movement in plants in response to chemical stimuli is known as chemotropism. This is an example of chemotropism. The growth of pollen tube towards the ovule. The growth of pollen tube towards the ovule in the ovary is an example of positive chemotropism. Let us now once again think about how information is communicated in the bodies of the multicellular organisms. The movement of the sensitive plant in response to touch is very quick. The movement of sunflowers in response to day or night, on the other hand, is quite slow. Growth-related movements of plants will be even slower. Even in animal bodies, there are carefully controlled directions to growth. Our arms and fingers grow in certain directions, not half as early. So controlled movements can be either slow or fast. If fast response to stimuli are to be made, information transfer must happen very quickly. For this, the medium of transmission must be able to move rapidly. Electrical impulses are an excellent means for this, but there are limitations to the use of electrical impulses. Firstly, they will reach only those cells that are connected by nervous tissue, not each and every cell in the animal body. It should reach only those cells that are connected by the nervous tissue. Secondly, once an electric impulse is generated in a cell and transmitted, the cell will take some time to reset its mechanisms before it can generate and transmit a new impulse. In other words, cells cannot continually create and transmit electrical impulses. Dear students, this is all for today's class. In the next class, you will learn about hormones in animals. Till then, bye, take care.